Hey guys, welcome to a very special episode of Collection Expansion Extravaganza, what we're calling the Collection Expansion Extravaganza Spotlight. Now, of course, this is a different episode than what we usually do, as the fact that we usually show off a bunch of items, but...
And we're usually sitting.
That's true, we are usually sitting. But we decided there were some items, as Carrie would like to point out, there were some items that
items that deserve more than 3 or 4 minutes.
That's right.
And this is one of the really cool things that we found this year that I thought deserved a little bit more, just show. It's something I'd never seen before, and I thought it was really cool. So
yeah, something a little bit of a more interesting item than what we usually come across.
Yeah,
you know, we come across lots of interesting items, but nothing with this type of, I guess you could say, history behind it.
Yeah.
What you're looking at is the GE Show and Tell Phono Viewer Solid State. The GE Show and Tell was made originally in 1964, and that's what you're looking at. You're looking at the original 1964 GE Show and Tell system. These guys, when they came out in 1964, were $29.95 to own, which then was a very large sum of money. And the little library booklets, the records, and the
like this.
Which this is not one of the original ones that came out, but they look like this. They were basically, there's a record and a 16mm film strip inside, which we'll get to and show you in a little bit, that you would then use on the system. And those were 99 cents a piece, or 5 for $4.99, which added, gave you a little bit of additional libraries to it. But it was a very interesting item, as the fact that they made this version from 1964 to 1970, and then they made it again in the 80s, as these were very readily available through wish books and such in the 80s, Montgomery Ward's, Kohl's, Sears, and that nature. So a very cool item. But basically, what you're looking at, like these came out in the 70s. These were part of the 70s libraries that came out.
Captain Kangaroo.
Captain Kangaroo, which was a big deal in the 70s. It was one of the 2 big children's shows in the 70s, honestly. There was Sesame Street and there was Captain Kangaroo.
There were 8 of these.
There were 8 of them.
And they were very educational.
Featuring all the original cast of Captain Kangaroo.
Like the very first one, Captain Kangaroo Musical Band. And then they had the second one was What Time Is It? Which I'm assuming helped you tell time. On the back shows a big clock and stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, so there were 8 of those. These are still sealed.
Yeah.
Never been...
Still sealed. So we got a whole collection of those. Then there were also, in the 70s, they released a huge library of Walt Disney titles, which of course we loved.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why we kept it, I bought it at an auction and wasn't going to keep it originally. Thought, well, this would be kind of a nice item to take to a show, maybe a showcase item to kind of put in a show and get some traffic to the table. And then we decided, well, this is too cool. We don't really want to sell it because it's kind of neat.
Yeah.
So we kept, of course, all the Disney.
For example, there's like 3 Little Pigs, Pinocchio, Peter Pan, just basically all the classic Disney stories.
A lot of classic Disney stories. Yeah. But the one cool one that I love the most was the last Disney one. It's Walt Disney World. Which is kind of cool. And of course, when you open up one of these, what you get inside is just almost a folder, and you get your 33 RPM record, as well as your 16mm film strip in here, which is kind of cool. Basically, of course, what you do now, kids, for those of you that don't know, these are records. This is what we listen to on. This is what we listen to music on before you can listen to it on your phone, or in the car, or on tape, or CD, or 8-track. This was it. Before that, there wasn't a whole lot. But the records, and basically the records here, of course, go on the turntable. And now as you're looking at this, you see, it's a television. It's a television and a record player combination. And what's cool about this is it's actually a regular record player as well. It can play 33, 16, 45, and 78 RPM records. Right. So any record you can imagine will fit on this, including, big records. We've tried it. Trust me, it works. But the record player... And the TV section, it's not really a TV, it's just basically a film strip viewer with a light bulb in it, just a regular, like,
right, you can't just, watch, TV on it.
No, it's just like a regular 60-watt bulb in there that illuminates it, and basically what happens is you get this 16mm film strip, and we'll get the arm here. You got to set your arm at the start of the record, like so. Whoops. Oh. Like so. It's kind of hard when you don't have steady fingers. And then the film strip, you basically, with the show and tell thing facing your way, You basically slide that sucker all the way down.
And I believe, if I remember correctly, I believe it said these were about 4 minutes long.
About 4 minutes long.
I believe.
Next, you turn on the little turntable here, and you've got your volume, and you can hear it whirring.
Mm-hmm.
You can hear the noise. There's a button on the front here, right above the solid state, that says saver or light. And the saver just basically is if you just want to use the record player. But to turn on the light, of course, we're going to do the film strip, so you got to turn the light on here, like so, and you see how it illuminates illuminates our picture there. You can't see with the lights. Don't worry, we're going to take care of that in just a second. But what do you say for the next couple minutes you enjoy a classic show and tell story from the great GE Show and Tell? So with that in mind, let's turn out the lights and enjoy. We'll be back right after this.
Hi there, I'm Mickey Mouse, and I'm going to be your guide on the most exciting trip you've ever taken. A trip through Walt Disney World. Ready? Here we go! We begin our trip on a monorail train, a highway in the sky. Up ahead you can see the vast vacation kingdom that we'll soon be visiting. Since this trip is especially for children or young folks, we'll leave Mom and Dad at one of the beautiful resort hotels for the time being. Whee! Our monorail train travels right through the main lobby. Was there ever a hotel like this one? Down below us are many riverboats traveling the waters of Bay Lake. On its white sandy beaches, people swim, picnic, or lie lazy in the sun. But we're not lazy, are we? And here we are at the Magic Kingdom. People arriving by land and water vehicles of every kind, all, like us, coming to visit the magic lands that stretch out behind the castle gates. Our first stop is the distant past, Main Street, USA. In towns like this, our great-grandparents lived many years ago, when electric lights and horseless carriages were strange new wonders. A steam train takes us around the Magic Kingdom, Adventureland. On Swiss Family Isle, a towering treehouse overlooks a jungle of lions, elephants, hippos, and dozens of other wild creatures. The Old West as it was a century ago, Frontierland. A stern-wheeler, keelboats, and log rafts wait to take us down the frontier rivers. Say, where do you suppose that music's coming from? Would you believe it? A bear band, the funniest band of musicians you ever saw, playing country and western hoedown. Come on, let's stomp our feet and beat time to the music. What's that? A haunted mansion, home for 999 jolly ghouls, ghosts, and goblins. But don't be afraid, they'll be happy to see us. Come on now, right through this doorway. Ooh, there they are, appearing and disappearing, putting on a special show just for you. Did you realize that our country had so many presidents? All 36 of them, from George Washington down to the present time. Do you think that maybe you'll be president someday? Oh, Fantasyland, home of all our old friends, Peter Pan, Alice in Wonderland, Snow White, and all the rest. And there in the center, Cinderella's soaring castle. Guess what? We have time for a trip 20,000 leagues under the sea. We'll relive Jules Verne's famous story of his strange-looking Nautilus submarine, a voyage to lost worlds. But now, back to the world of today, to Mom and Dad, and the promise of many another visit to Walt Disney World, and the many, many more wonders still to be seen. Hurry back now, won't you? Goodbye!
Now, I have to say, it's a pretty interesting little gizmo, especially for being from the 60s. A couple of issues with it. Unfortunately, the slide for the show and tell here, since it's so old, the timing's a little off, as you could tell. And you can see the scenes jumping a little bit. It's because I was helping them come up into frame, because if they don't sit just right, and you saw a couple times, they'll start to go up and then they'll stop. So the mechanism inside, the timing's a little off, and I'm not sure how exactly to fix that.
It is super old.
It is super old, and I'm not sure it ever worked 100% to begin with. But the record player works beautifully.
Yeah, I love just hearing Mickey talk. Yeah. I mean,
and that wasn't. I don't think that was anyone that was ever a voice for Mickey, because that was not.
I don't care. It's still Mickey.
Still Mickey, but a cute little. And of course, you saw, especially on screen, it's kind of hard to tell, but there are colors to these slides. The slides are in color, and I'm wondering if it's because whoever replaced the light bulb didn't replace it with a white bulb. It's got more of a yellow tint to it, so it kind of, as you can see on that, it kind of blurs it out a little bit. It makes it a little bit hard to see, but. Cool thing is, and I'll start this. We won't do it with sound, but I'll start it over so you get an idea of how this little guy works. We'll get the needle back on here, and then we'll just turn it on without sound. But you can kind of see as it plays, that you'll watch this strip, and you'll see what I mean by it doesn't. See how it moves by itself, and actually, as the story goes for 4 minutes, that strip theoretically should be timed to the record. But as you saw, kind of it's lagging ahead a little bit. Yeah. The record was a little bit ahead of the strip, but the strip will rise by itself just like that, so you don't have to pull it up to change the strip. It just rises by itself, which is pretty cool. Turn that off there and turn that off. A very, very cool item from the 60s, and a very neat item to add to our collection. Now, where it's going to go, we don't know.
I don't know. I like it. I remember when you came home with it. You bought this at the local auction here in town.
Yes.
You came home with it, and all I saw was this, and I said, "You bought a TV? What are you doing?" And then you
more than a television.
Started to talk to me about it, and I was like, I don't know if I want to. What are you gonna do with that? And then you got it working and showed me, and I was like, that is so cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat, and the fact that it's a working record. I've wanted a record player for a long time.
Yeah.
I've wanted a record player that could convert records in MP3s, but I've wanted a record player because I have so many records that I've never been able to listen to.
Yeah.
A lot of licensed stuff that I've never heard. And this functions as a record player. It works beautifully. It still functions great. One day I'll probably take the front off to get into the light bulb to change the bulb to maybe change it to a full white light bulb so it illuminates those colors a lot better, because that bulb in there is not great. But it's a great item, and it's really cool. If you ever come across one that's functioning, even if it's one from the 80s, all of this stuff works on it. Works on any of them. They're all made pretty much the same. They just made them more compact and made them different colors. But to have one from the 60s is pretty cool. And it's a really neat, like Carrie said, it's a really neat piece to have in the collection.
Yeah, it's
and
awesome.
It's going to have a nice home.
It's different from all the other Disney stuff we have. Usually, most of our Disney stuff, stuffed animals and PVCs and things like that. This is completely different.
Completely and utterly different than anything we own. So it's a very neat item. But there you go, guys. There's a nice little, the first episode, Collection Expansion Extravaganza Showcase.
No, Spotlight.
Spotlight. Did I say Spotlight at the beginning? I said Spotlight at the beginning? It's a new thing, people. That's how
Showcase,
it works.
Spotlight.
That's how it works.
Same difference. Tomato.
The thing's going to say Spotlight. I said Showcase once. That happens. I'm almost 40, gang. What do you want from me? My memory's not like it used to be.
You're almost as old as this thing.
Not that old. Crap. But gang, a nice look at the GE show and tell from the 60s. We hope you enjoyed this, and we'll be back real soon with not only a new showcase See? My memory is going,
Why do we call it Showcase then?
Oh, but I said Spotlight, and I like Spotlight because it sounds so much better.
But you're not saying it.
I know. We'll change it to Collection Expansion Extravaganza Showcase.
Okay, so we are...
It's Showcase now. Showcase, people! We'll be back real soon with a new showcase where we'll showcase a different, unique piece of our collection that deserves a little bit more conversation about it than just, here's this, it's really cool, here's this, it's really cool.
Yeah.
So, but we'll be back real soon with an all-new Collection Expansion Extravaganza where we're both sitting down behind the table as usual. But be sure to look for both of those real soon in the future, gang. Until next time, keep digging, because you never know just what you're going to showcase. Take care, gang.